Hi, I'm Reverend Tom Lank. I'm a deacon from Greater New Jersey.
And I'm Harriett Olson, and I'm a layperson from Greater New Jersey from the Morristown Church.
So, Harriet, what was at least one of the highlights of today for you?
Well, no surprise to you, but one of the highlights of today for me was all of the United Women in Faith activities.
Yeah.
To start the day with consecrating deaconesses and home missioners is a wonderful start to the day. We have so many people of all ages and now all around the world interested in service beyond the local church as lay people, putting the love of God into practice. And then we had the United Women in Faith report, and I thought they were wonderful. They had those young women dancers from Pfeiffer University, and they talked about the new logo and the transitions and our history and our future. And they did it very briefly. So I thought that was terrific. What about you?
Yeah, well, I enjoyed that as well. But for me, today was special because it was really putting into practice decentering the United States from the conversation. We were dealing with a piece of legislation about how many extra bishops to elect in Africa, whether it should be 2 or 3 or 5. And almost every speaker that got up was from the central conferences that were going to be affected. And the US delegates had to sit back and listen, which is a position that we don't find ourselves in often enough.
Right.
And we're going to have to learn how to do that. And I thought it was very instructive today for us about what regionalization is going to mean in the church.
Right. Yeah. And we got to use our headsets.
Yes.
So we got to listen in not in our first language,
Right.
and that's also really good learning for us, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fascinating. I was so glad that people brought their needs to the conference and
Yes.
didn't just accept it as a decision of the committee and as the final word.
What have you felt is the overall vibe of this conference?
Yeah, well, it's very different. I mean, all of us have said it's very different than the last one, the special session. Of course, it's not quite a fair comparison because that was called for one purpose, and this is a much broader array of things that people are committed to. So it does help to diffuse the attention a little bit. But I think today we're beginning to have the sense that we need to move. The conference really wants to move forward. And one of the challenges of the complexity of the Central Conference Bishop debate is that it has to be, we have to proceed very carefully because it's not, the answer is not a foregone conclusion, right? So, but there's an urgency to move forward, and I don't think it's anxiety. I think it's because we're excited
Yeah.
about the potential. So I think that is that's really promising for the UMC.
Yeah, yeah.
What about you? What's your impression?
Yeah, like everybody else, I'm astounded at how much less arguing there is at this one and how much easier it feels, how much more collaborative it feels, both in committee and in the plenary. It feels like we're working together towards a common future. But I still have this PTSD from my prior experiences, like something negative is about to happen and I have to keep my guard up. And I think it's going to take me until the end of the week to really be able to let that down and trust it. But it just makes me hopeful for where we're heading to see this much cooperation.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that contributes to that is people are sharing their approach. I'm going to bring this minority report. I'm going to do this. So it doesn't just appear out of nowhere. And I really appreciate that. I think that that is also a way of building towards building trust and building towards a core of how we operate together. Yeah.
Harriet, you and I have been sitting over on the far right section of the plenary hall. It seems to be directly under the air conditioner, and so we're all freezing. It's like a meat locker over there. And one of the churches from GNJ, their prayer team, Prayer Shawl Ministry, sent us each blankets, prayer shawls that we're using as blankets in the plenary hall. That to me is such a wonderful way to wrap ourselves in the prayers of GNJ, and I'm so appreciative for that physical reminder. But what would you say are some other ways that GNJ can be praying for us this week?
I agree. It's wonderful to see the whole row wrapped in our prayer shawls. So thank you, Morristown
Yes,
Yarners.
thank you, Morristown.
This, I think the meeting is a fairly long meeting, and the days are fairly long. So I think the prayers for us, for our stamina, for our patients are very important, and also for the acuity of our hearing, both of each other and of the Spirit, as we continue to perfect the resolutions in front of us. Those are the two things I would say. What about you?
Yeah. I don't think I can improve upon that very much. For me, I also need prayers for patience. We were moving very slowly through our agenda today, and we have a lot of work left to do. And so I need prayers to not get anxious and upset by that,
Right.
and to stay in the moment,
Yep.
on topic with what we're discussing.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.